before you buy a home computer.
Electronic games being heralded by folks in the trade as this year's holiday bestseller.
Children have skipped school or stolen money to play the games.
I'll be looking at the electronic game craze.
And at the end of the tape, I'll be back to tell you how to safeguard your computer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Streamer News. Sorry for the delay in launching things. I had a couple things I needed to take care of before we got started here. Can we all just admit that September was the worst month ever and we can move past it and make October pretty solid? No? Okay. Anyway, welcome to Streamer News. We got a couple things going on here today that we're going to talk about. Some of them we're going to go deep on, some of them we're not, just because I don't know, I don't know how much we want to talk about certain topics, but we got a lot of topics to talk about here today. Appreciate you all being with me here on the Streamer News. And let's jump into some housekeeping real quick. Just in case you missed it, I have posted a wide gamut of videos covering Windows 11's launch. This was something that I did back in 2015 for the launch of Windows 10, and it was just something I kind of wanted to recreate here for Windows 11. Since it's been 6 years, that was kind of the start of me being a tech channel, and now, I'm a full-time tech channel, having a new operating system launch, which frankly we were told wasn't going to happen again. Wanted to cover it, do the same kind of videos I did back then, and just kind of see if I could do it again all in one day. And so within 48 hours, I produced 8 videos. Hope you enjoyed. Just some kind of beginners level topics and things like that. Yeah. Thank you, EmyCat, for the tier 1 sub, 15 months in a row. Worst month ever, Our 2016 and 2020's months of choked. Yes. When's the mic review? So, yeah, because of the Windows 11 launch, my originally scheduled videos for this week got pushed back a little bit, so my Icon Pro review will be released next week. It's already shot. I just need to finish editing it, and frankly, I needed more time to really get in the right headspace to finish editing it. I don't know. Sometimes with certain reviews, I feel like I have to be in the right space to finish editing, even if I already know everything, how I want it to look, how I want it to sound or say or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be next week's though, probably Monday, if not Wednesday, but for sure coming next week. We also had, what else did we have? Laptop review, finally reviewed the MSI Raider GE76, which has the 11980HK processor in it and a 3080 laptop GPU. It was a beast. Second episode of Stream Critique Season 2 is back. Or up, rather. We had a guide on cleaning up your OBS with some organization tips and things like that. By the way, if you missed it, I've been doing mostly weekly giveaways for streaming gear and things like that. We actually bumped this week because just a lot came up and I couldn't get around to scheduling it and stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm giving away less things. It just means taking more time to give away the things. But I'm doing weekly giveaways for what I'm calling Streamsmas. So we gave away 10 EVGA XR1 Lite capture cards, and then this past week, we're doing a giveaway for a PreSonus Revelator USB and an Earthworks Icon USB. So basically the USB microphone or version of the microphone I'm using now. So be sure to enter that if you'd like, and stay tuned on our Discord server if you want to get all the latest releases for our giveaways, because I'm going to be giving away a lot of stuff. I've got a whole pile of stuff I've been setting aside. We've got ring lights, microphones, capture cards, all sorts of stuff. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, Not Your Parents GNS. Happy Friday. Hope everyone's having a wonderful start to your weekend. And yeah, we're going to get into today's news topics. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. We do have lots of Pokemon stuff coming on the Pokemon HoloQuest YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out if you're interested, because Celebrations just launched. I had my first dose of Celebrations openings releasing basically as soon as the stream is over. I think it's actually at 5, but not long after the stream's over. Go check that out if you'd like. All right, moving on to today's topics. Let's first and foremost just jump in with the big one. I don't usually do this, but let's talk about the Twitch leak. I don't want to talk about too much of certain details of it because realistically, this is a problem. This is a big deal for Twitch, and I don't want to make that worse in any way, I guess. I don't want to, in bad taste, like, make any of that worse. But I do want to talk about some of the things, because some of the people were just like jumping on and sharing things around. And what you don't realize is that as a streamer, most of the data that was leaked from Twitch was your data, not Twitch's data. Like, yeah, the source code is there and blah, blah, blah. But like, for individual streamers, that's your data. And from what I have heard, the rumors were that the actual like payout information and things like that were only the top 100,000 partners or something like that, and that there is more data. So there could be, you know, there could be more to be leaked regardless. But if you're unaware, I think it was October 1st, Twitch had a big data breach that they are blaming on a server misconfiguration, which is interesting that exposed all of this. And basically 128 gigabytes of source code and like payout data and things like that were compromised and leaked, and someone archived it, released it on 4chan. However, they did clarify, and it has seemed to be the case, that no actual like payout data is how much streamers were paid for like subs, bits, and ad revenue, not actual like your credit card data shouldn't be in danger. And your passwords theoretically are fine, but strongly recommended to change your passwords, and they have manually gone in and reset everyone's Twitch keys. And so remember, when you change your stream key and change your password, that this will unlink your Twitch account from things like OBS and the Stream Deck and all of that. So you will have to relink all of that stuff before you go live. So make sure you plan for an extra 10, 20, 30 minutes before you go live in order to really get all that sorted and make sure all your buttons and functions and all of that are, working appropriately. The thing is that a lot of payout data has been released here for Twitch streamers and things like that. And it's been kind of interesting to see some of the responses, because for some, I think there was kind of a shocker that, like, say, for example, Critical Role is apparently the most highest paying Twitch streamer in terms of subs, bits, and ad revenue. But keep in mind that Critical Role is huge. They have stuff syndicated everywhere. They make money from everywhere. Plus, you know, that doesn't include tips and things like that. And so I feel like a lot of people have been jumping on some of this revenue data and getting a lot of kind of skewed opinions about it, not only because it only represents the top like 0.01% of streamers on Twitch anyway, but also because it only represents a chunk of their revenue. So it's like this weird back and forth pulling of these streamers actually make way more money than that, and not everyone realizes that. But also, most streamers, like 99.9% of streamers on the platform, don't make anywhere near this much. And the difference between the top, like, I think it was like 100 or 1,000 streamers and the bottom rest of them, the other 99,000 that were included on the list, like the difference in revenue there is kind of insane. And I always think that's worth thinking about, because in terms of sustainability on a platform, not doing a YouTube channel, not investing your time into a platform that's going to give you a little bit more, for lack of a better word, passive income, or income that's more sustainable, is genuinely just like kind of just a foolish move at this point. I think like the same people who make below the federal poverty line on Twitch could easily be making a relatively decent like living wage on YouTube or YouTube plus Twitch with not a ton of extra work, especially since streaming is one of those things. Streaming is one of those things where it's almost counterproductive work. Like we talk about all the time, how your work is better put into things that grow your stream outside of just streaming. And that is 100% the case, because like when you're streaming right now, I only stream for about an hour at a time every time I stream, because if you do an 8-hour stream, that is an 8-hour full workday, which you have to prepare for and then be exhausted by, and then probably do nothing else productive for the rest of your day. Where unless you're doing, you're also syndicating to YouTube and having editors edit clips and things like that, all of your work disappears the moment you stop going live and you stop making money from it effectively. That's not super sustainable. Whereas 8 hours put into YouTube videos will continue to earn you like dividends and, earnings back and the like over and over and over. More so than like Twitch earnings ever really could. But yeah. You lose Twitch affiliate when you cross-platform stream. But there, you can still get, like, tips don't go through Twitch. And you can still point people to YouTube channel memberships or Patreon or Fansly or OnlyFans or Fan House. There's so many of them now. And Twitter super follows is becoming a thing. Like, there are so many ways to monetize. And while Twitch subs are the, like, low-hanging fruit of it, there are so many ways to monetize. And the fact is that most of these streamers who are making the big money, most of their money does not come from these things. And I think Harris did a video recently breaking down like his sub revenue and why he made his YouTube channel memberships dirt cheap. And it's because they're not a big significant chunk of his revenue. And the same thing applies to me, to any content creator that's actually making good money from this. Those subs and things like that don't need to be your core earnings. And so when you stop, it's basically phrasing I've heard recently, for lack of a better word, like confusing the like cents for the dollars. Like you're worrying about a couple dollars and forgetting about the bigger picture of the real money that can be made. And I hope we see a lot more people. Like I said this before, and we're gonna wrap up this particular topic after this. But like I've said this before. We had a big streamer news like a month ago where I was talking about this, where I basically, you know, I broke down like I don't want to see Twitch fail. I don't want everyone to just jump ship from Twitch. I don't think that's the right move either. But what am I hearing right now? Why am I hearing music? Hold on. Okay. Sorry, something started playing in the background. It's not the background music. Anyway, I don't want people to jump ship from Twitch. I don't want to see Twitch fail, because that's not a win for any of us. For any of us that have spent 10 years now on Twitch, either as a viewer, as a streamer, for anyone who wants to stream on Twitch, for anyone who just has moved to YouTube but still, you know, has any remote meaning in their, you know, thought in their mind that they still like or want Twitch to succeed. Like, seeing it fail isn't a win. It's seeing Twitch improve and succeed. And obviously certain moves have to be made, and not everyone's, you know, they may not fix things or get better, but I think the important step at least is for people to diversify a little bit more, to do both Twitch and YouTube. And Tim the Tapman recently talked about that when he was talking about, and obviously a lot of that is a little skewed because he's getting paid a giant bag to switch to YouTube, so of course he's going to talk about why YouTube is great. It's a little bit of a skewed video, but one of the things that he says, and I 100% believe it, is that every time he meets someone out in the wild or someone introduces him or whatever, they say, oh, hey, that's Tim the Tapman. He's a YouTuber. And that doesn't... what he framed that as was, oh, Twitch or YouTube's a more recognizable platform than Twitch, and that's where people think of for live streaming. And it's not for live streaming. It is that people's content on YouTube has more lasting power and has more impact and has more... lifespan, shelf life than Twitch content does. When you're on Twitch, you're streaming, it basically dies as soon as you're done streaming, and everyone has described, you know, the full-time streamer workflow of if you're not streaming, you're losing money, because that's a terrible way to go, but that is, like, if you are all in on Twitch content, that is where it is. Whereas your YouTube videos are there forever. If you search Tim the Tapman, you're not going to find Twitch streams, you're going to find his YouTube videos. And then you're going to watch the YouTube videos, and that's what brings you to the streams. And think about, for a lot of creators, some of the best content they've produced are their videos. Be it whether the videos are cut together from live streams or not, the videos themselves have a longer shelf life and more, like, memory power than a fleeting live stream does. And I think people who aren't doing both are going to continue to face L's, basically. They're continue to lose the more that Twitch does and the more that these kinds of issues show up, so to speak, I guess. Entering chat real quick. Thank you, Blue Barracuda Live, for the Prime sub. Also, someone asked if I'm streaming on Windows 11 already. No, do not switch your production machines to a brand new released operating system. As I said in my streamer video, you should switch it for less important or mission critical machines. So all of my like editing and streaming rigs are also on Windows 10. Only my gaming PCs are on 11, and they've been on the insider builds for a while anyway. Moving on to the next topic here. That is not the right camera angle. The parent company of Jabra, which is called GN, has apparently made a deal of $1.2 billion to acquire SteelSeries from their parent company as they attempt to combine their existing product catalog with, I guess, targeting gaming. So you'll have the higher end headsets and earbuds, but with some SteelSeries peripherals as well. It will be interesting to see how they absorb the brand and how we see some of that going. If it's anything like the recent like Logitech and Blue acquisitions and things like that, it'll be nothing for a little while. Like you'll have the same products and then you'll have some weird stuff released, like Jabra gaming earbuds or something like that. Jabra SteelSeries gaming earbuds or something weird. But I think most of the SteelSeries, like, because they're acquiring the people who make them and things like that. So I think most of that will stay the same. And if you like their products, then you mostly have nothing to worry about. I don't see why Jabra like would be bad hands for them to be in. So I think it's pretty neat. It's been really interesting the past few years to see gaming brands get bought up so frequently, because for a little while you had brands like SteelSeries and, I don't know, the Turtle Beach back in the day and all sorts of stuff where you had the gaming, either the entire gaming brands or the gaming lines of specific brands, and they weren't taken very seriously. Gaming gear was kind of laughed at. It still kind of is, but it was kind of laughed at. And, like, they didn't have big, like, ownership or anything like that. And over the past, I guess, 10 years now, a lot of these companies have been being acquired and traded and swapped back and forth and, like, actually being a part of some major brands for accessories for headphones and other things, because it's such a big market now. And that's really cool, because for the longest time, if you told someone that you wanted a gaming keyboard, they'd probably just laugh at you. And now $1.2 billion to acquire SteelSeries. It's just really cool to see how things have changed. Speaking of new products targeting gamers and streamers, Beyerdynamic, a high-end headphone company, is releasing a new Pro X series of headphones and microphones. So I have to confess here, I have dropped the ball. They have actually reached out in the past about me reviewing these, and it just kind of sat in my email inbox because I am terrible and never apparently responded. And so I don't know if I will get to review these, but I have followed back up and been like, hey, sorry about that. But they have the DT700 Pro X, the DT900 Pro X, and then the M70 and M90 Pro X microphones. And these look to be, well, the M90 is clearly a condenser microphone. The M70 actually looks like a dynamic microphone, so it might be a dynamic broadcast microphone. Obviously, I could dig in a little bit more, but I try to keep my reviews as uninformed as possible until I have the product. It will be interesting to see how the 700 and the 900 differ from like the DT990s and the DT770s. But it's cool that if nothing else, they're refreshing the product lines, because the DT990s were incredible headphones. I really enjoyed them. So I'm excited that new products are coming out from Beyerdynamic regardless. Panasonic, on the other hand, has put out a beauty of a camera. This is a box style camera, kind of like the Zcam E1 or E2. Well, no, just the E2. The Zcam E2. I think Blackmagic has had a camera like this, the little studio cams. Not the pockets, the studio cams. And then this is the BS1H. It is a box style camera with a full frame sensor. Shoots 6K at 24 frames per second, or 5.9K, which is going to be basically 6K at 30 frames per second. 10-bit. It's a actual video camera. And so it, unlimited record time. It's designed for broadcast as well as cinema usage. So you got 14 stops in Vlog and VGamut, 12-bit RAW, outputted over HDMI. If you want to do, I'm assuming there will be a ProRes RAW option for it. Internal H.265 streaming, which is really sick. You can do 4K 60 H.265 streaming built into it. So these are going to be cameras you see mounted up at events, at big broadcast studios, mounted on crazy rigs, and run through Ethernet basically to stream this video feed, but with full frame. Now, it's Panasonic, so the autofocus is probably not going to be great, but it's pretty sick. I love seeing more of these kinds of cameras coming out. And so, yeah. Pretty sick. So someone asking, are you streaming 30 FPS on purpose? Yes. I'm streaming basically still images and a 30 FPS camera. There is quite literally no reason to stream at 60 FPS. Moving on. YouTube has officially canceled YouTube Rewind. Back when the pandemic started, they actually canceled or not canceled, but closed the YouTube creator spaces. They had one in New York. They had one in, I think, California. And these were dedicated like studio spaces where YouTubers could rent out the studio space and go make their YouTube videos. And it was YouTube investing in the creator space. And when the pandemic started, I guess they just decided they couldn't afford to keep it open if no one could use it. And they started closing them down. And unfortunately, this is yet another kind of creator investment move that is being shut down, which is YouTube Rewind. They will no longer be making these videos. Now, to be fair, as I know everyone loves reminding everyone of, I know most people hated them by the time they were done. They started out as a really cool thing that just highlighted the like trends and viral videos of the year and really showed that at least someone on YouTube's payroll was hired to pay attention to what was going on YouTube. And it felt like they were kind of showcasing YouTubers. And I think the biggest problem is not the fact that, I mean, I do think part of the problem, of course, is that YouTube got too big for its own good. Obviously, once YouTube hits critical mass, there are too many faces for you to recognize very many of any of them. But I think secondarily the problem became that they got too ambitious with it, because it started as basically like a clips episode, a highlight video, here's all the cool stuff that happened, wrap up kind of thing. And then they turned it into this big cinematic production, which meant that if you didn't recognize the faces, you had no way of connecting with them. Because before, if they just highlighted the viral videos, even if you didn't entirely recognize the creator, you might be able to you might be able to be like, oh yeah, I saw everyone talking about that video, or I watched that video and forgot about it, or something like that. But when they abstracted the trends and the viral thoughts and things like that to these bigger productions, which combine them all, then you're just presented the creators often without any context. Like they put MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, in a Fortnite bus. If you didn't already know who he was, you have no reason to care that he's in there, and the context of Fortnite doesn't tell you anything about him because he wasn't a Fortnite content creator. And if you did watch Fortnite on YouTube, you'd probably be like, well, who the heck is Marquez Brownlee? I've never seen his Fortnite videos. That kind of thing. And so by abstracting it so much to build this bigger, like, production value kind of thing, I think they lost they tried to make it more magical and more, like, bigger, and I think that ambition kind of lost some of the magic of just showing that they, that everyone should know and care about what is, there, I guess. That's my thoughts. In other news, Mozilla has apparently been sneaking in sponsored suggestions into the actual URL bar, the address bar, which seems super weird. Mozilla's been making a lot of weird choices lately. They've had some stumbles over the past couple years as it is. But I feel like of all the places to involve advertisements within your web browser, the address bar is not the way to go. I still have nightmares sometimes, and these aren't serious, like, terrifying nightmares. They're just dreams that happen, of browser redirects and malware and things like that, where, it used to be such a common thing where you could get adware or malware on your computer where your browser would be hijacked and it would redirect you to all sorts of websites when you're trying to go somewhere else. And just thinking about the idea of going to type in a URL in my browser and it's showing me something else because it's a sponsored suggestion just immediately puts me back in that place of like, oh, I am no longer in control of my web browser and where it goes. This sounds like a terrible idea. So you can turn it off in the privacy and security options. I don't know who thought it was a good idea. And lighter news, that's not the thing I meant to click on. I closed the tab I meant to click on. There we go. There is a new conversion kit to install the short M.2 SSDs into the back expansion slot of your Xbox Series X and S. Now, we previously talked about this from an AliExpress listing, but it looks like there's a new converter kit as well, which is pretty exciting because the Xbox Series X and S use CF Express cards, which are basically PCIe SSDs, but in a slightly different modified housing. And someone's created the housing to convert that over. The only problem here, like the previous converter kit we looked at used the longer 2280 SSDs. The problem is if you want to use these 2230s, is there aren't a whole lot of high capacity 2230 SSDs out there that are affordable to get. I think there's like a single WD one that people have been finding that's been decent to get. But otherwise, you're actually going to have a hard time getting these shorter drives. Now, I would prefer to do it this way because I don't want a big stick of gum NVMe SSD sticking out of the back of my Xbox to get broken or bump into things. So, like, hopefully we see more drives like this. But getting high-capacity drives in this super tiny form factor is not super common. there's not a lot of drives with it. So it's a win and not entirely a win at the same time. All right, moving on. So Valve posted a teardown video of their Steam Deck, which I struggle every time not to call Stream Deck, I know, which is basically their Nintendo Switch, and the thumbnail says you should not do this, and the whole premise is that they're tearing it down so you can see the inside, so you don't have to do it, and they really don't want you to open it up, both because you could give it ESD and break it, I guess, and because if you short something out, you can make the battery swell up and explode and kill you. Some really bizarre anti-repair things, and iFixit tore them a new one on Twitter, which was hilarious. And so it was cool seeing the insides, but also really disappointing how not upgradable or repairable they want to make it, and especially because it seems like they really want to sell you the more expensive SSD options instead of you putting your own in there. So that was really disappointing to see, and I don't know. So, like, it's one thing to make something that's super small, especially when it's a handheld computer. Like, of course it's going to be small. Of course it's going to be hard to fit all the components in. Of course there's going to be stuff that's soldered on that definitely don't need to be, but, you know, end up being so in order to fit the form factor. It's one thing to do that, which a lot of people don't want you to do that, but it's one thing to do that, which is fine. Like, it's fine for this kind of thing. That's the trade-off that you get. But then to sit there and make as big of a deal as you possibly can, telling people not to take it apart or repair it or anything like that, just seems really crappy to me. And it's really frustrating that Valve, of all companies, is the one doing it. But it doesn't even seem like it's that hard to disassemble. Like, if you've disassembled a Wii U gamepad, a Switch, a 3DS, like, it feels like it's in the same way. And I realize your average Joe doesn't do that, but your average Joe isn't going to take this apart anyway. So I don't know. It just gave me some really uncomfortable vibes, and I don't like that when we're starting to see traction towards a better emphasis on repair and part swapping and upgrades and things like that, that they do this. But of course, again, as Rice pointed out in the chat, this also uses a 2230 SSD, so good luck upgrading it anyway. That's why it's so expensive. So they show you how to do it and say no one's stopping you, but I don't know. I think iFixit said they're already going to have repair kits ready to, or not repair kits, but like repair guides ready to go on how to get to everything. And of course, they do provide the video here, so just didn't like seeing that. Astro, for their A40 TR headset, is coming out with some new pastel style like color plates and things like that for it, which is really neat. I can't believe the A40 is still like a line of products that is out, because back when Xbox Live was first becoming a thing, the A40 was like the headset, and I always assumed it was, back in the day, I always assumed it was just overhyped and that, you know, people would move on and things like that. And here we go. We still have A40s being sold today, and they're still sworn by a lot of people, and they even have new blue attached microphones and things like that I've been wanting to check out as well. I've never actually owned one. It was always the dream headset when I was back in my hyper competitive Halo 3 days and things like that. So at some point I will get my hands on one and get the new ice pop for it, but I don't know. I do love these new color options though. Like, this might be what sways me. All right, we're going to get to a commercial break before we hit up the last topics for today. Stick with us. As soon as I find the button right there.
PlayStation!
I've built my own video streaming site with my creator friends that allow me to not have to deal with a lot of that stuff. The site is called Nebula, and we've partnered with CuriosityStream. Nebula features YouTube's top education creators such as MKBHD, Thomas Frank, and Low Spec Gamer. My videos are higher quality, they're ad-free, and often extended from the YouTube versions, and sometimes significantly earlier when I'm doing a bunch of videos at once like this. CuriosityStream saw what we were doing for educational content and wanted to form an educational documentary power alliance, where we worked out a deal with the link in the description below, where if you sign up for CuriosityStream, you get access to their library of thousands of educational and documentary titles, but you also get access to Nebula for free for the entire duration of your subscription to CuriosityStream. They're also offering a 26% off their annual plan deal, making it less than $15 per year for both CuriosityStream and Nebula, which is just kind of bonkers. While you're there, check out Secrets of the Brain to learn about how the brain works and to see a neuroscientist go and study a bunch of unique neurological conditions, which I found really informative and just kind of interesting. Like we focus on education and teaching a lot here, but learning how the brain works is kind of a big meta part of education as well. Head on over to curiositystream.com/epos for the best deal in streaming and sign up for under $15 per year for both sites. It's crazy. Just do it. Do you need stream-safe music for your streams and videos, but want something a little heavier? My awesome community sought to solve that and made Backing Track. Hard rock and heavy metal music, safe for your content and free to use. No subscriptions. Head over to backingtrack.gg to stream it or join our Discord for free downloads.
Sega is rolling out a new video game console this week.
It's one world. Why view it through two windows? Panasonic introduces the 36-inch SVGA TV.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're jumping back in. We don't have any unboxings today. I apologize. We're jumping back in. BEACN has revealed that their BEACN Mix has customizable themes for their screens. The BEACN Mix is I guess I should identify it if you haven't been following it. It's a new audio controller for Windows that comes out. It's not actually a mixer. I don't know how much I can say, so I'm not going to say much more than that. But it's an audio controller, and it has dials and buttons and stuff like that. And they have revealed that it has, customizable themes. So you can make it look exactly how you want and get some customization going. And they will have some some themes that it ships with. And I think they will let you make custom themes as well. I'm really hoping that they make a Winamp based theme as well, because I think that would be completely perfect for my setup. Still have yet to get my hands on one. And if I've seen some people kind of be snarky about me not getting one when other people have. Just to be clear, and I'm trying to say as little as possible so I don't say what I'm not supposed to, but there are people who are currently beta testing it right now to give feedback and help finish the product. They are getting a different cycle than I get as a reviewer, and I'm supposed, realistically, I shouldn't be involved in that process. So I'm not being excluded. I'm still going to review it, don't worry. But I'm not one who's specifically testing it and providing feedback, and frankly, I don't have time for that kind of thing anyway. So don't worry, I'm in contact with them. I will be reviewing it, but I also can't spill the beans before embargo's up anyway. So just to be clear, I will be reviewing it and the mic, though, once it's available. They are putting it in the hands of people who would use it regularly for streams and content creation, which to get feedback and make sure it's the best they can before they launch it, which is something I can respect even if I disagree with some things. Moving on to new topics, supposedly, and Dark Reader is breaking this article, supposedly CaseLabs is coming back from the dead. This was actually a report by Gamers Nexus. What's really interesting, and I guess I'll go to GN's website just to be fair, since they were the ones who broke it. I think this is really cool, and I'm really excited for it because I really wanted a CaseLabs case for my current rig, and they kind of went away in 2018 when I wanted them. However, my biggest concern is that I don't know who acquired them, but I don't know if they didn't acquire all of the assets or what's going on. But there is a quote that stands out, which is really concerning to me. The immediate plan is to bring the original lineup back into production, which will not be an easy task. The parts will be in flat, unfolded state, and there's no instructions on how to fold the parts. So me and my manufacturers will have to work out how to fold each individual part. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence for a new owner of a company to show up and say, yeah, we're going to bring all the products back, but we have no idea how to put them together. So where did that information go? Do they not have that archived? Would that not be with the manufacturer? Do they not have existing products to then reverse engineer? Like, why is the company... I don't know. Now, CaseLabs originally went bankrupt, and it's possible that wherever you know, things ended up like some stuff just got lost along the way before it got reacquired. But it just seems really suspicious and confusing to me for the owner of a new company to show up and be like, we have no clue how to make these things, but we're gonna make them. Like, that just doesn't give any confidence whatsoever. Like, it's folded metal. You turn it into, I don't know. Like, I am super stoked for the possibility of CaseLabs coming back, and I would love nothing more than to have a giant CaseLabs case under my desk over there at my desk. But that just feels like the most embarrassing quote to like launch with. Like, hey guys, we're coming back, but we have no clue how to do what you're expecting us to do. Like, that just, they shouldn't have said that, honestly. Like, they shouldn't. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, I'm excited, but what the hell? If you're a user or would-be user of the AVerMedia live streamer NEXUS, it's getting a lot of new features. They've been really working on improving the software. If you were unaware, they did actually release a like roadmap. Oh, you can't see that. A product roadmap, and I think they commented with it whenever I reviewed it. But they're introducing new features. One such feature includes multi-actions, which lots of people were waiting for, which is really exciting. And then they also have OBS WebSockets introduced so that you can use the NEXUS to control OBS on a separate computer, which is really freaking cool. Like, I am super stoked for this, and I hope, like, so a lot of people were concerned about the preamps, and I get that. And what I discovered was that the preamps weren't entirely bad, but the software mapping to it wasn't quite correct. And so I know in an update not long after my review went live that they introduced a wider range for the gain control, especially since some of the condenser mics that I checked out with it were getting, you know, super clipped and you couldn't turn down the gain anymore and things like that. And so I do plan on revisiting it soon because I think it's in a much better place, and I think it's going to continue to be in a better place that is a little bit more usable for this kind of stuff. And so I'm stoked that they're sticking with it. A lot of people were concerned that if you know, it didn't sell well, that they would drop the roadmap or whatever. They seem to be sticking with it and trying to turn it into something neat. I think the product concept is really cool, and I hope to see them continue to develop it. So we heard last month that Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman moved to YouTube for some extreme amounts of money and to stream less. And NickMercs got locked down in the opposite way, and is now being held hostage by Twitch. That's a joke. But I do find this kind of concerning because I don't know. So he was paid enough of a contract to stay on Twitch, which is a good thing for him. And it shows that after losing Lupo and Tim, that they are taking the idea of exclusive contracts a little bit more seriously, which is cool. The details that are concerning here are the fact that he's actually going to be streaming more still, and he already had an existing Twitch contract, like locking him down, that was just kind of getting renewed or upped or whatever. And instead, he's actually streaming for more hours. And so he had to answer how to fight burnout, which you should not have to answer when you're given a new bag of cash. He said he wants to keep his on-stream activities varied, and when all else fails, lean on his team and family for support. I feel like this sends the wrong message to would-be streamers. Like, so I already think a lot of people have a skewed perspective of what streaming is, because I think so many people think that once they hit affiliate, that things suddenly they just become successful and they win, or that if you become a Twitch partner, that's some sort of end goal. And you're just successful and you're doing well, when realistically, you're just doing more work to actually make that money. But to create a scenario where you have people who get handed tons and tons of money to stream on Twitch, and they have to basically give up everything else to do it. It sits so wrong with me. In a time where we're all trying to fight for no more exclusivity, diversification, streaming less, doing better for their mental health, all of that. Like, have nothing to say towards NickMercs negatively. Like, I don't know him. I'm not trying to diss him, but like, this feels wrong if you look up to him or something to be like, yeah, I'm gonna get burned the hell out, but it's gonna be fine because I'm making money. Like, streamers should be building their streaming business to the place where they continue to make more money for the same or less amount of hours streamed. And that is what people who have gotten YouTube contracts are doing. And to see someone like a lot of people thought it was a good sign for Twitch to show that they're investing in their creators again, to hand Nick a bag of cash and say, hey, stay here. But I think it shows that they're still stuck on the same problems that they have, where he now has to stream more hours and is still basically only streaming to Twitch. And I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't think this is the right move that people should be moving towards, in my opinion. Yeah. His lawyers didn't represent him properly. I don't know. Like, when I think about, like, you think about YouTubers. Like, think about YouTubers as they scale their business. If they start bringing on team members like editors and things like that, they spend less time producing the content. They spend more time doing the bigger business decisions, putting their face on camera, and less time doing editing or business emails or that kind of work. They scale things to make more money for their time or more money for less time spent. Whereas streamers, when they get locked in on Twitch and do these kinds of contracts, they get screwed into spending more time grinding when they're already at a point of success to make that money. And yeah, they're making boo-koodles amount of money, but does it matter if you're filthy rich if you don't get to spend like any time with your family or doing things for yourself? It seems pretty miserable to me. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal anymore. I don't know. Moving on. AVerMedia also released a new capture card, the AVerMedia Live Streamer Cap 4K. Now, I did just get this in the studio. I will be reviewing it. It is nothing new or anything too fancy. It is just basically a cam link. It is UVC, so it'll work with Mac and Linux, presumably. The cool thing here is that they added in the software for it to do AI face tracking and EPTZ stuff like their webcams do. So this is a cool, like, feature bump over some of the other capture cards, but if you have an NVIDIA card, an NVIDIA RTX card, you can use NVIDIA Broadcast to do the same thing. So, I mean, it's his life, so streaming shouldn't be your life. Streaming is your hobby or your job, not your life. If streaming is your whole life, that is a dangerous and unhealthy position to be in. That's not a good thing. No one should be that one-dimensional, where all they care about is going live, and then that's it. Like, that's not an okay place to be in. Oh, by the way, Elgato is finally putting VSTs in Wave Link software. They have a beta out available. If you have links to their Discords and stuff, you can get it. Otherwise, I am currently testing it myself. I haven't tested it a ton yet, been super busy, but I will be covering it very soon. It is very exciting. So you will be able to do things like add in NVIDIA RTX voice and then replugs or something like that. And so that is very exciting because that has always been the big limiting factor for the Wave Link or for the Wave XLR and the Wave microphones, is not being able to add post-processing without getting rid of the entire mixing purpose of the product. So stoked for that. Someone asking if the Live Streamer Cap 4K will do 1440p. That is unlikely. What's up, Andy Lippy? Ayo! What's up? Thank you for stopping by. We are just wrapping up here today. PlayStation acquired BluePoint. This was kind of obvious and coming. BluePoint's been developing remasters and remakes and things like that for PlayStation for a while. They've basically been a first-party studio anyway, so now it is official. Today we're putting more powers in the hand of the community. So this is just an update. This is a little bit of an older news piece. I wanted to just mention it since we've talked about it a lot here on the channel. Twitch did finally enable phone verification as an option for your chat. So if you want people to have a verified phone number for chat to help reduce bots and hate raids and things like that, this is a feature that can be turned on and off and is a great move, and I'm glad they're finally introducing it. This is one step in many that needs to be done to really kind of start fixing a lot of these things on Twitch, but this is very exciting, and you can limit it based on how old the chatters' accounts are as well. So lots of cool stuff here. This is basically what we were asking for from the get-go, so I'm stoked that it's being introduced. And then Corsair released a new gaming monitor, the XENEON, which just reminds me of that like Disney show, Letus Yapitus or whatever they said. It's just the 1440p 165 hertz monitor. It isn't anything too crazy, but it's Corsair's first entry into the monitor space. And if you don't know, most companies, when they first make a product in a new space that they don't typically make products in, what they do is they usually just rebadge something else and add their own special flair to it. So this is probably someone else's monitor. I don't know for certain. I'm speaking generally. This is probably someone else's monitor that they've just added their own features to. So you got the IQ control, you got the cool stand, you got the, you can actually mount the flex arm from the Elgato multi-mount stuff on there to get a camera up above it, which is pretty neat. So they've added their own flair to this, but I wouldn't expect anything too amazing from the, from the monitor panel itself. But this does mean that future monitors that they kind of invest in will actually be pretty neat. And yeah, so far the reviews have actually been quite pleasant. It's 32 inches for 1440p, which is way too big for 1440p in my opinion. I'm a 27 inch for 1440p. Hell, I use 4K, it's 27 inches, but for me, it's too big. But I am very much looking forward to their future releases. I think they can do some good stuff, and I do think the possibility, and I know they won't, but I really want to see them either do a monitor with an Elgato capture card built in, so it takes the signal, displays it lag free, but also captures it, sends it back to your computer, because I believe this connects over USB-C as well. Or they do a direct lag-free pass-through in the monitor, so you can connect, like even have a DisplayPort to HDMI pass-through. So you have whatever input you connect, it spits it out via HDMI to your capture card. Like, they really got to start thinking streamer features here, and they could nail a huge market. I think it would be absolutely incredible. Oh yeah, Twitch also introduced paid boosts. You've already probably heard a ton of people talking about this. It's kind of crap. If you go look at the existing paid boosts, they are all terrible. It's a bad thing. I'm just gonna let you listen to everyone else who's talked about it, because I'm just exhausted by Twitch right now. Razer has also introduced 2 new products, one being basically their own cam link as well, which is the Razer Ripsaw X. This is by far the most expensive cam link option on the market right now, so on that merit alone, I inherently see no reason to really use it, because it's so expensive. Like, it's inherently a waste of money when it's more expensive than anything else. But it is an option that will be released, and it shows that Razer's still trying to get capture cards out there, which is pretty cool. They also released the Razer Kiyo X, and this is a little confusing because it's like in between the Kiyo Pro and the original Kiyo, but it also has the same specs as the original Kiyo. I think it's basically the same specs as the original Kiyo, but with the HDR capabilities of the Kiyo Pro. So they say like the virtual ring light. So basically it has that double exposure that it does at 30 FPS to like make all of your lighting even and stuff like that, which is cool, but it's not going to look great. It's not. So whatever. Last couple topics here. YouTube is introducing a new little analytics thing to help show you which videos are bringing back viewers to watch more than one video at a time, which helps you kind of reflect upon what videos are actually like registering with your audience versus just bringing people to your channel once and then they bounce or whatever. This is really cool. Once it rolls out more and I have more experience with it, we'll probably be talking about it more on our Discord. So join us at discord.gg/EposVox. I talk about a lot of YouTube coaching stuff there since it used to be my job and all. And then last couple topics here, we have Sony is taking away payment options for the PS3 and PS Vita stores in the when you buy them on PS3. This was a whole thing where they actually took down the stores and everyone made a big kerfuffle and they're like, okay, we're not doing that now. This sounds like on the surface, it sounds like something they're doing to sabotage it so they can later get rid of it. But realistically, it comes down to security issues. The whole reason they were getting rid of the stores in the first place was because they had to maintain it and keep super outdated tech secure, which is harder and more expensive. And with this, it just makes sense that with older legacy code and services, keeping payment information going in that will become insecure over time. And this allows you to still buy things because you can just buy Sony store credit and then buy it with that credit. But it allows them to keep the store open while also keeping it secure. So I think it sounds like a scary possibility, but I think in the end, it's actually a good result because it means we're keeping the store. So I like that a lot. And then lastly, I just wanted to highlight that the PS1 emulator DuckStation can actually transfer sound to vibrations with the PS5 DualSense controller. And so you can effectively get the DualSense-like feature. It obviously won't be as like exciting as something that's manually mapped for it, like Astro's Playroom or something, but you'll actually get some of that DualSense capability when playing PS1 games with your PS5 controller through this emulator, which is really neat. I plan on testing it out soon. I will say that a lot of people like don't talk about it, but like everyone gives the PS5 DualSense a lot of credit for this revolutionary vibration thing, which is cool and all. But the Switch does this as well, and I feel like it does it more, so potentially they updated it at some point. But like I've been going back to my Switch again and playing Pokemon, and like if you have the volume low, it's doing vibrations to emulate the sound, and it's pretty scary accurate. So I love to see this new Rumble Tech coming out. I know a lot of people turn it off for playing like accurate first-person shooters and things like that, but wanted to highlight that this is a neat way to experience your PS1 games that is a little different than you might have before. That's all we got for today's streams. I might do a new stream or a separate stream on Twitch later tonight, opening up some more Pokemon Celebration stuff. So stay tuned for that. If you want to check that out, go check out the HoloQuest YouTube channel if you'd like. Otherwise, join us on Discord, discord.gg/EposVox. Check out our merch. And shout outs to Maddie Fresh Gaming for the $5 super chat. Thank you for hanging out in today's episode of Streaming News. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I've got a lot to catch up on and some stuff to work out. Hope you're doing well. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!